it has been announced the people over at Netflix have decided they're going to get into combat sports. Netflix has picked up a made-for-stream, is that a term? Made-for-stream? Yeah. Made-for-stream fight between Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, 40 years ago, and Jake Paul. Who? He's a YouTuber. So the fight has already been ridiculed by just about every man, woman, and child who knows anything about boxing and sports. The reason it has been ridiculed, there is a not 10-year, not 20-year, there is a 30-year age gap. This is a generation is 20 years. There's a generation and a half difference between these two dudes. Mike Tyson is 57, Jake Paul is 27, and they are going to square off the sweet science of it all July 20th. And if you're listening to us in the greater Dallas area, you can go to that. It's at the Cowboys Stadium in Arlington, Texas, and that's where the fight will be. Of course, you don't have to live there. You can travel to Texas and see the game if you don't live there. But Iron Mike, he will be 58 years old by the time the fight happens in July. And because of the age gap, the odds makers have actually pegged the YouTuber, the influencer, the annoying one who we'd all like to punch, Jake Paul, and the YouTuber turned boxer is a heavy favorite in this particular contest. So let us discuss the question. Mike Tyson deciding he's going to fight Jake Paul. Help me understand this. I will help you understand this. So I've got absorbent towel, sea turtles, and Wango Tango. Yes, all of that together. So first of all, and we'll make like roast beef or something like that. But my theory is Mike Tyson is just bored. Bored. It's not about money. From what I've heard, and I got a few friends that are in the fight game, Mike Tyson, who's no longer in the fight game, Iron Mike has become a weed kingpin. Like, he's the real weed man. Got involved in the marijuana and has made a ton of money and has a bunch of weed farms and is just kicking ass with the weed. And so that's what we've heard. Now, there's another theory, and I think this actually has some merit to it, that Mike Tyson was smoking toad venom. He loves the toad venom. He's done so much of that the toad venom, it kind of directed him, like he needed to come back to boxing. And so he does that 3 times a day. It's a psychedelic. You think he does that with Joe Rogan and Aaron Rodgers? They all get together and have a powwow. And no, I don't know. So the toads told him to come back to boxing. And that's the ticket right there. Wonderful. So Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson is like a carnival attraction meets a train wreck, right? It's like a train crashes into a carnival is what happened. It is also going to be performance art. On this one, I am of the position, all these Jake Paul fights are joke. That's my position. And Jake Paul is like an absorbent towel. He is to boxing what the Sham Wow guy was to towels, because it's a sham. That's my opinion. Can't sue someone for their opinion. Everyone that is involved in the boxing game that I respect their opinion. Just don't take this seriously. Either of the Paul brothers, don't take them seriously. It's just a money grab situation. Yeah, they like boxing and they're into it, but it's just a money grab. And everything's a gimmick and a sideshow, and they put all these rules in. And that's the thing to keep an eye on, right? I would fully expect that the Paul brothers, Jake Paul and the people around them, will have their thumb on the scale. They'll manipulate the rules. They'll make it like a 6-round charity thing. You can't punch certain places, blah, 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 blah. If Tyson, even at age 58, puts an honest effort into this and actually tries to win, it's hard for me to imagine that he won't win. And yet I'll check this out for content reasons, but if I didn't have this show, I would have no interest in this. Like, Mike Tyson was somebody that was fascinating to me, and I've actually covered a few Mike Tyson fights when he was boxing back in the day in Vegas, which was quite the spectacle. It was insane. And I didn't see him in his prime. I saw him when he was washed up, and he was just going back after he'd lost to Buster Douglas. And it was a wild scene when Mike Tyson was fighting in Sin City. All right, now, secondly, we now turn to a media brawl of sorts. I love these media musings. So reports that Stephen A. Smith, who used to host our morning show, and Pat McAfee had an explosive argument, according to the reporting. Explosive, not just an argument, it was explosive. This happened during a conversation regarding a yet-to-be-announced project that is supposed to be a joint venture for that fledgling cable channel out of Bristol, Connecticut. Now, the New York Post, one of my favorite newspapers, I don't get the newspaper, I read it online, but the New York Post tells us that Pat McAfee called Stephen A. Smith, I don't think I can say this word, a MFer. I can say that, right? MFer? Eh? A man fan. Is that what that is? No. Now, this is during the argument. During the argument, called him an MFer. And there are rumors that Stephen A. Smith banned Pat McAfee from appearing on that little morning show, First Take, which I guess some people like. Now, both have come out and denied that this happened. And Pat McAfee, he released a statement saying, "I have nothing but love for Stephen A. Nothing but love." Now, Stephen A., he responded. He gave a lengthy manifesto to the Post. He praised Pat McAfee, saying that he is welcome anytime next football season. So Pat McAfee and Stephen A. Smith had an explosive argument, but they're all good now, believe it or not. So in terms of the argument, I 1,000% believe that they got into it. And I know from my years of working in this business, and I've had a couple of TV shows over the years, been lucky enough to do that, people who do this for a living have normally short fuses and also expect that they're going to be treated a certain way, and they think it's like a urinating match. Like Stephen A. is like, "Hey, I run things now," and McAfee's like, "Well, I kind of run things now." You know, it's like I'm bigger than you. No, I'm bigger than you. And then boys will be boys, and these guys have big egos. Both of them are rich. It's a couple of sea turtles, loggerheads, and they're at loggerheads. And I love the damage control. Which is choreographed, trying to unring the bell. It's like, all right, someone from HR in Bristol, Connecticut is like, all right, calm down, fellas, calm down, play nice. Nothing to see here, right? Love and respect, that's all there is. That does not mean that they did not have a beef, and they still have a beef, but they can let bygones be bygones because of money. And if you're Stephen A., you think McAfee helps you on your show, and if you're McAfee, you think going on Stephen A's show, you can get more people, cross-promotion to bring his audience to your audience. And that's how that works. Right? That's where you go on other shows to try to cross the shows and get more people to listen. Now, there's also a theory, a subplot to this. Could it be that this is all choreographed and scripted, and that we are going to get Stephen A. Smith versus Pat McAfee in a future WrestleMania, and they can pad their wallets even more as they try to capitalize on this? Final thought, we now turn to the music world, where we have learned the Marlins, formerly called the Florida Marlins, a baseball team, now they're the Miami Marlins, are going to do something rather unprecedented in modern stuck-up baseball. The Marlins will be allowing fans to bring musical instruments to the ballpark. Flags, drums, and all musical instruments into home games in Miami. Now, our homeboy, Andy Slater, if you're in Miami, you got to hear this guy. Andy Slater's amazing. He's like the TMZ of Miami on our home in Miami, Fox Sports 640 AM in South Florida. He had the scoop on this. He tells us that the only thing not allowed are pots and pans. So you can't bring pots and pans, but all musical instruments are allowed. So the Marlins are allowing fans to have musical instruments at games this season. Does that work for you? I would like to quote a famous musician, Snoop Dogg. And he would say, "For shizzle." is what he would say. This is wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful. The Marlins games are for friends and family at this point. It's like Marlins Man and friends and family. And now they are going to turn these games into a BYO concert. Bring your own. Bring your own concert. And they say they were inspired by the 2024 Caribbean series. So the fans there were allowed to bring instruments like cowbells and bongos. And it was very energetic and passionate. And so they're trying to recreate that. The Marlin fans, they want them dancing, playing drums, waving flags, and chanting on every pitch. I'm sure that's not going to happen, but that's what they want. Good luck on that. Nevertheless, I like the idea of Wango Tango. I remember when I was a kid, I would watch games on the television in Cleveland, and there was that dude who passed away a couple years ago banging on his drum. And I remember I was watching, they played at the old Cleveland Municipal Stadium, I think it was called, which was like a 100,000-seat stadium for the Cleveland Browns, and there'd be about 800 people at the Cleveland Indians game, but there was this one dude out in the bleachers that was banging on the drum for Brooke Jacoby and Corey Snyder and Joe Carter and those guys to get it done. I still remember that. That's kind of cool, right? I cannot wait, though. The way the world goes, you know how this is going to happen. Right, we're going to get some influencer who's going to try to get a bunch of people to click on them on Instagram, who's going to bring a pipe organ. You know those giant pipe organs? They're going to bring those to the ballpark. There'll be some TikToker who's going to go out and get the world's largest violin and put that out in left field. It's all about the clout, baby. But, hey, musical madhouse. I couldn't name more than one or two guys on the Marlins, if that. So why not? I think it's a great idea. And hopefully it'll inspire some of these other teams that have no fans to allow their fans to bring musical instruments, of course, and then somebody will get hit over the head with a drumstick, and then the lawyers will get involved, and then they'll have to cancel it. But until then, knock yourself out. We'll get Dick and Dayton to go down there with the Kettering Banjo Society, and you can play the mandolin. That'd be fun, right?